one of the things that linking the second ray to the first ray brings in fearlessness. Okay? Rory talks about halfwayness or half-heartedness. And it becomes obvious for anybody on the spiritual path after a certain point what is in front of them. So in other words, the personality normally enters the spiritual path because it's trying to get something. Trying to find its life purpose, trying to find contact with the masters, trying to find a field of service, trying to find a group, trying to find healing. Whatever reason it is that calls us onto the path, it's normally because, even trying to find enlightenment, it's normally because some part of ourselves, even the personality or the soul, is seeking something. But of course the monad is that which we are seeking. And so the part that's looking for it, in order to find it, must die. And sooner or later we discover this, that on the path, that the person who set out on this journey is never going to get to the end. Because somewhere on the path they actually have to die in order to discover that they were at the end all the time. This is the spiritual journey, right? But of course, until we've exhausted all our fuel in seeking, we're not really going to be prepared to surrender into the reality that we were always and always will be the one life that we were looking for. So, death is actually liberation into the next phase. And yet our fear of death is what stops us actually completing the journey. So I call this the cafe on the edge, which means that we walk the spiritual path and we come to a cliff. You know, and Moria says, why do you pause at the chasm when you have leapt great divides? But we pause at the cliff. And this cliff is always some kind of death. And we think, maybe I'll jump. But then we think again. And we think, well, perhaps I'll just have a cup of tea. And then I'll jump after the cup of tea. But then we have the cup of tea. And then pretty soon we think, hey, maybe I could set up a cafe on the edge, serving cups of tea to other people. Because I certainly want to live on the edge, you know, but I don't want to jump. So then we set up a little spiritual center. Then we've got a library and a bookshop. And then other people come to the edge and we say, hey, come have a cup of tea. Think about this. And so pretty soon we have this spiritual center that's built right on the edge. And then every so often someone just comes running along and leaps. And we all feel bad because it reminds us that actually we came to the edge to jump. So we think this is a bit dangerous. Then we start building a fence along the edge. Because we don't want, because these people that jump, they never come back. So we don't know what happened to them. You know, they probably died. You know, they probably 6th ray took them over the edge, and you know, they really need to sit and study some more. You know, and sit here in our cafe, and then when we're all ready, we'll all go over the edge together. But of course, we never go over the edge. That's why it said initiation happens when severe necessity arises. Because if you think about jumping, you won't jump. It's like a bungee jump. If you stand on the edge and go, ooh, that's a long way down, you're never going to jump. You may as well give up. But what the life aspect does is it brings us the sense of immortality. That there is no death. That